What's up guys, this is Musket. So today I'm bringing you guys a combo video on a deck that I kind of regret not checking out sooner, and that's the Magical Musketeer deck. It's a deck that benefits a lot off of the Fiendsmith package because the track can search any Light Fiend and all of your Magical Muskets are Light Fiends. So even when you're not trying to do Fiendsmith things, the Fiendsmith cards are basically Magical Musketeer cards, and your Magical Musketeer cards are also one card massive combos because they also lead into the Link 1 monster, which allows you to pop off like crazy. And the cool thing about this deck is that even with no baby goddess, so even if the Link 2 goddess gets banned, it's not going to change anything. This deck doesn't have to play it. So this deck might be a very good long-term investment, and it's not like you have to play Snake Eye cards or anything. So yeah, extremely cool deck, extremely fun. And also, even if you're on a budget, you can afford to only play one Fiendsmith as long as you can afford the 3 spells, the tracked. And that's what really matters. But yeah, this deck is super enjoyable to play against, so the combos are going to be really cool. And of course, I will be showing you guys the deck profile. But before we go any further, friendly reminder to smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. You have no idea, my man. And also, again, huge shout outs to my sponsors, Inspire TCG as well as Dueling, and they are back with their Ultimate Saints collection. So if you want to get your hands on some beautiful Dragon Ball playmat, deck boxes, and art cards, you know where to go. Use the coupon code YASIN666 for 5% off. The link will be in the description box below. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, as you can see, my opponent's board is pretty big. This is what you can achieve with one single Snake Eye Ash. So there's a princess, there's the temple with the Flamberge, the IP, and a bunch of annoying monsters like the DS Ray, Appaloosa, etc. If I can just have something like Link into the Vrains, which is Exodia on Cry, this card is stupid in this deck, as well as a Magical Musketeer monster, and something to, you know, stop the DS Array, like even MST on myself, I can pretty much just OTK right away. So yeah, assuming that the Link of the Vrains actually does resolve, so even if you baited before, it doesn't really matter too much. It doesn't have to be Droplet either because Appaloosa doesn't beat you. You can activate the Link to the Vrains, special summon your Magical Musket from the hand, and then link off into the Magical Musketeer max. And because of the fact that this was summoned in using Link into the Vrains, your opponent cannot negate the summon of your max and also cannot activate cards or effects in response to the summon. So the max will resolve and there is nothing at all your opponent can do about it. Now obviously on resolution your opponent can do something about it, so if your opponent has Droll, then Droll can be used against you. But if you have also Forbidden Droplet, then you can chain the Droplet in resolution so that your first searches are safe from Droll. I've kind of explained this in the past. So yeah, this is kind of nasty, and your max is going to be searching 3 cards, which would be the Cross Domination, which I'm not going to be using right away, the Desperado, which can destroy a face-up card on the field. The Cross Domination, by the way, is kind of like an imperm, and also reduces the attack and defense of a monster on the field to 0, and the Dancing Needle is a triple DD Crow, so all of them are really good cards. So we'll be using 2 out of 3 of those cards. So Desperado on the field spell, so that my opponent cannot summon back the Flamberge and the IP, and then Dancing Needle on the Princess and the 2 other cards, it depends. And then I can link off my max into Requiem, and then Requiem summon the Fiendsmith from the deck, and then Requiem target, and this is where it's gonna be getting, it's gonna turn into really a Fiendsmith deck. So it started off as a Magical Musketeer strategy, and now it can go, you know, the Sequence, fuse into Aerial Eater, send the Diabolica, the Draconic General. There you go. I think the only usage of this card is you send it off of Aerial Eater to recycle back your Fiendsmith Engraver. That's honestly pretty much it. You're not really using it for its other effect, even though it's not a bad effect. You can only use one effect per turn, only once that turn. And also another really good usage off of Diabolica is that it's a Dark Fiend monster that is level 6 or higher, so you can banish it as well as the Necroca Princess in order to revive back your Aerial Eater. So that way you have fuels to get back a body. And Aerial Eater also does not get banished when it leaves the field. So even next turn you have a follow-up. If you're even getting to a next turn, because usually you're OTKing with this deck, but if you Dark Rulered your opponent, then it might be relevant. Anyways, we recycle back the Fiendsmith Engraver, and we also made the Yama, which searches the Sharvara. And now the Tractus is going to be searching the Starfire, which we can discard right away because we can recycle it back very soon. And now, if we're going second, we're going to be making Unchained Soul of Anguish. So obviously, Anguish. This is the play when you're going second to OTK your opponent. If you're going first, the combo is going to be a little different, so I will be obviously showing some combos for going first. So you're going to be destroying the Anguish to summon your Sharvara, and then Yama 1, and then Anguish 2, recycle back your Fiendsmith, and then Chainlink 3, link into the Vrains, so when one of your Link monsters is destroyed by battle by card effect, including your own, you can banish it and then recycle back a monster from your graveyard to your hand with the same original type as one of the destroyed monsters. So we can recycle back any fiend from the grave. So we get double recursion, which would be the 2 fusion materials for the Tractus graveyard effect so that we can go into Lacrimosa, because we never summoned Lacrimosa using the Sequentia, we only made the Aerial Eater. Anyways, speaking of the devil, summon the Lacrimosa. I mean, it's quite literally the devil, it's a fiend. And then Lacrimosa revive back the Starfire, and activate the Cross Domination in the same column. Summon your dog from the deck, or whatever, the cast part doesn't matter too much. And then link off into Unseen Soul of Rage, or any link 2 for that matter. And then also make a max, because why not? And then link off for Appaloosa if your opponent has DS E-Ray. And then link off using the Unseen Soul of Anguish into Access Code Talker, and this is going to be where it's going to be a OTK. Because now we can destroy a bunch of cards. DSA Ray, try to center monster, Appaloosa negate, battle phase attack, and that is 8100 damage exactly because of 1200 burn from the Lacrimosa, which is going to be OTK. And even if we don't kill our opponent, we have the Abominable Chamber to revive back the Unseen Soul of Rage, we have Appaloosa. Yeah, it's just, I don't really see how you can lose this game. Anyways, let's get into combo number 2, which is a going first combo this time. Okay, so you can pull this off using any Magical Musketeer monster in any discard, which means that it's usually always going to be achievable. But you can't really necessarily do this if you have Tractus instead of... You need like an actual Magical Musketeer name. That's the reason why you still want to play a decent amount of them. But yeah, the very start of the combo is going to be the exact same, but usually you see a Lacrimosa or a DSE Ray here. This time it's going to be Aerial Eater. Yet again, send the Diabolica, which recycles back a Fiend from the graveyard to the hand. And then make the Yama, revive back the Aerial Eater. And then link off again into Unseen Soul of Rage, not the Anguish this time. And then Tractus, search the Caspar, discard your other card. And then Sharvara, destroy the Unseen Soul of Rage, chain link 1 Yama, revive back. And then Unseen Soul of Rage, recycle back the Fiendsmith from the graveyard to the hand. The Yama is going to be reviving back the Aerial Eater. But we also have the optional effect of destroying a card we control off of the revival back off of Yama. So we will be destroying the Sharvara in order to set the Abominable Chamber. Now the Tractus is going to be fusing for the Lacrimosa, which is going to be reviving back the Caspar. And we're going to be overlaying for the Caesar, and that is good enough because... Oh, and also the Sequentia can target the Caspar to make it untargetable by card effects. So, on the opponent's turn, this is pretty nice, because we can go Abominable Chamber, revive back the Unseen Soul of Rage from the grave, which will also trigger the Caspar to search any of your Magical Musketeer card. There's the Last Stand, which can negate the activation of any spell or trap cards. There's Desperado, which can destroy any card on the field, or any face-up card your opponent controls, something like that. And there's obviously also Dancing Needle and Cross Domination, so either banish 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard or from any graveyard, I believe, or negate and reduce the stats of a monster completely. So yeah, a lot of options. This deck is really fun, like I said. It's really toolboxy. Let's get into combo number 3 now. Okay, so what happens when you have way too many names and you also have Link to the Vrains? Well, Link into the Vrains, but going first. Well, you can still play it out really well. And as a matter of fact, I want to say it's not even like bad redundancy because you can take full advantage of that. So you normal summon your monster first, and then activate the Link into the Vrains, summon your monster from the hand, and then link off into Magical Musketeer Max, which will sadly not trigger its effect, but at least the Starfire will trigger to summon the Caspar from the deck, and then we can attribute that, well, link off the Link 1 into the other Link 1, which is really weird. You don't see that every day. And then go for the combo with Necroquip Princess, etc., which is technically another Link 1. It's a Fusion Link 1, basically. And I've seen this before. Aerial Eater send the Diabolica, recycle back the Fiendsmith, and then Tractus, which we're not going to be using yet because we want to use it in the same column as Caspar so that you can get a search. And then Yama, search the Sharvara, link off with the Aerial Eater for Unseen Soul of Anguish. And then Chainlink 1, Yama, revive, and also Chainlink 2, or actually the other way around, Anguish, revive back the Fiendsmith, and then go for the Lori, which is going to be reviving itself back in Chainlink 1, and then Chainlink 2, Caspar is going to be searching for the Last Stand, which, like I said, is the card that negates the activation of any spell or trap card. So even if your opponent has Dark Ruler, it's not going to beat us. And then link off your 2 monsters, the Sharvara, as well as, I believe it was the Luri for the Unseen Soul of Rage. Set your Abominable Chamber with the Unseen Soul of Rage. Sorry, the Sharvara. I'm actually extremely stupid. And then Tractus is going to be fusing for the Engraver, well, the Lacrimosa using Engraver and Caspar. And then Lacrimosa revive back the Caspar. And just like that, we can overlay for Caesar. And it's pretty much the exact same thing as the combo I just showcased. The one difference is that you get your first search right away. And you also end on an apple. So with just 2 extra cards, you end on 3 extra interruptions, which is kind of nasty. Yeah, I mean, how can you lose with this? Like, you can have Dark Ruler, you can have Evenly, you can have Droplet. It's not going to change anything. Magical Musketeer best deck. Okay, so for the deck profile, I mean, it's gonna be relatively simple because there's not that much to cover, but first things first, for the monsters, I'm on 3 Starfire because I think this is by far the best one. And then Caspar, you can play anywhere between 2 to 3. This card's also very good. But when you have way too many normal summons and Caspar is one of them, it's usually the worst out of... I mean, it's the second worst because Doc is like technically the worst. This is like the grind game monster. But you can also recycle it back with your Fiendsmith and your Lacrimosa shuffle off... Well, I mean, your Lacrimosa fusion off of the sequence. So basically, your sequence, that's the one that shuffles everything back. So you basically have an infinite grind game, which is absolutely beautiful because this recycles back your spells and traps, so you never run out of gas. That's the reason why these cards are just one-ofs, by the way, just in case you're wondering. So yeah, if you want to play 3 Caspar, go for it. Depends on how you did the maths for your deck. But I'm playing a lot of deck thinners in this deck, kind of some draw power in a way, a little bit, not really. But yeah, at least this was working out for me. 3 Fiendsmith as well as 3 Tract. The Fiendsmith in this deck is very interesting because nothing forces you to just search the Tractus. The Tractus, sometimes you want to search, use it just to search your magical muskets. So it's not, again, like you're just relying on Fabled Lurie every single time. If anything, maybe Fabled Lurie might get banned. I don't know. Nah, probably don't think so, though. And the Fiendsmith can also search the Sanctus, which is a token generator. It's not super insane, but it's not garbage, so at least this card has a little bit more usage. And then obviously the Sharvara and the Diabolica, the 2 kind of bricks in a way, as well as the Fabled Lurie. You don't really want to draw these cards under any situation, really. Yeah, they're not really good in your hand, but they're very good in your deck. I mean, I guess Fabled Lurie is like the least worst to draw if you do have to draw one of the 3. Because then if you have to go for the Tractus, then you can search a Magical Musket and then discard the Lurie, and you can get full value. So it's not like the end of the world, but these 2 cards, they're like strict neg ones. And then obviously 3 Exodia, so Link into the Vrains. This is the highlight of the deck, the best card for sure, because if you're going second and you resolve this card, I really don't see how any of the top tier decks can beat you. You get to search like a bunch of cards on their face, or you get to summon like 3 monsters from your deck using the Link 1 monster. Even against like trap decks, this can be good. Again, they can't respond to anything. They can't judgment the summon of your monster. They can judgment the Link into the Vrains, but if you're skillful at the game, just go for another one because it's you can only activate one per turn. And it's not like there is much else that can really stop this. It's honestly really filthy. Even the graveyard effect of this card is nasty. Anyways, Call by the Grave, whatever, it's not super needed, but you don't play hand traps in this deck because you want your opponent to set up, you're going second so that you can kill. So you want your opponent to just... I mean, you don't really want to Call by the Grave your opponent's hand trap so that your hand traps will do nothing against them. Either way, this is a going second deck, so you just want your plays to resolve. I don't know, I think this card's decent as a one-of, but it's unsearchable because it's a quick play. Obviously, it's not like the other cards that are normal spells. Upstart Goblin is interchangeable with Pot of Prosperity, so you play whatever you prefer. But the extra deck space in the deck is ultra tight, so Prosperity is just a little awkward. You can rarely go Prosperity for 6. If anything, you can probably never afford to do it. Maybe if you want to banish cards like DS Irae, Appaloosa, and Typhon, you can definitely do that, but the other cards I would try not to touch because you're almost always going into them. My issue with this deck, the only like problem I guess you can say, is that you have to go into so many steps in order to get to the final result. If you can't do everything, usually if you get stopped like a little early in your tracks, then you can't really get to the final result. But unless you have like good extenders, then it's not the end of the world. But yeah, Upstart Goblin triggers your magical muskets, so that's the reason why I like this card so much. 3 Joblet, as well as 3 Dark Ruler, very good board breakers, so why not? And then 3 Triple Tactic Thrust, which can also search the Link into the Vrains, or search cards like Dark Ruler, Talent, etc. And the 4 Magical Musket cards, which I think are the best. And the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. So yeah, 40 cards, don't try to play any more than that. The extra deck I think is super stable, super boring, super basic. So 1 DS Irae, 1 Lacrimosa, 1 Aerial Eater, Necroquip, Typhon, Caesar, Access Code Apple, Unchained Soul of Anguish, whatever, Yama, Unchained Soul of Rage, SP, Sequence, and then Max, and the Requiem. Everything for the most part is either revivable or recyclable. So you don't really need to play that many like duplicates. It's 15 one-of should be fine. And the idea section / side deck, whatever, I don't think you ever need to play multiple maxes because, again, it's very easy to recycle back. And even if it gets banished, you can go Lacrimosa, revive back your max from the banish, so it's not like the end of the world. You can main deck Lightning Storm if you really want to. It's not too bad. And you can also play Rivalry because you're only playing Fiend monsters in your deck, so it's not too bad as well. Or if you want to main deck the Molchami, you can do that instead of, I don't know, like the Duster, Call by the Grave. and something else like the Sanctus or something. Maybe not, because I think this card's still kind of playable. But yeah, you guys let me know how you feel about this deck in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.